last season where they were just kind of playing for lane. The communication between the Korean and Chinese players wasn't there into what has been a methodical and smart game plan, which is good to see from a team that's coming down from a battle from relegations just to stay in the LPL to, again, taking points off teams that were beating them soundly last season. And it's good to see Master3 being competitive, and it's good to see Dade performing well, even in trying times. Look, he's still going to be the same old Dade. He's still going to pick Vladimir confidently into LeBlanc with scaling runes. But 2 games, 2 victories.
I was going to say, it's worked twice now, so it's looking not too bad for Dade, but we are into the bans now. Hecarim immediately banned by King. They do want to take it away from Looper. Kalista banned there again, so banned against Name, I believe, on the blue side by M3 in Game 1, and now banned on the blue side by King. So respect the power, but don't want to pick it to either team, it seems like, in M3. Next ban there's going to be the Gnar, actually, away from Kola.
Okay, so the jungle pool not quite as hit so far. Looks like a champion like Rek'Sai might actually make it through for first pick. First pick Rek'Sai over even priorities like Kalista has been pretty common in other drafts. A lot of strong champions available. The Nunu ban is surprising to me. I know there was some word actually on Twitter that they were trying to target Huey's champion pool, taking away champions like the Gragas and the real top tier champions like the Rek'Sai. Nunu being banned away is another of the strong champion pool, but I have to feel like there'll be a lot left. No, a blue side Rek'Sai ban is very curious to me.
Huey may be really wanting to stick to some of these utility junglers, and we kind of look at King as a team. It feels like a team that wants to bring up Name as a hyper carry. I don't know how viable that strategy is in the Cinderhulk manner, but that is an interesting ban to me. And M3, we're kind of puzzled there. Like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what to take away.
They were not expecting the Rek'Sai ban. Rek'Sai feels like the super Lee Sin when it comes to early game. We've already said that of Gragas, but still, it's a flexible champion that's a strong ganker, but also builds Cinderhulk oh so well. Clearlove has been the biggest proponent of Cinderhulk into as many Giants build as possible. The bans end with a Kassadin of all things. Korn has loved to play the Kassadin, but that's a peculiar ban. All it screams to me is, hey, take whatever you want at first pick, and we're going to get a sick 2 champions in the first round.
I mean, they're either like taking the spinner and spinning it or have done a lot of homework with the way the drafting works. But Azir is actually the first pick there for King. Makes sense. Cassiopeia is open, though. That's been the common pick in. I'm not too sure if Dade played.
Look, he's never shown it before as maybe a once-off pick, but it's never been part of his repertoire. This is the spot where you want to play Cassiopeia. I actually do really like both Maokai and Gragas against Azir. You have the ultimate to at least disrupt any sort of control he starts to set up with Sand Soldiers. Alistar makes it through the pick and bans. That was banned in our first series. They have lots of flexible options. The Gragas is going to be locked in. A lot of jungle power and pressure coming through from Con.
Yeah, it's Gragas Alistar. And I'll echo the point you make about Gragas into Azir. You mentioned yesterday, all of Azir's power comes from controlling a big area, and Gragas just does a great job of disrupting that.
He resets team fights. That's the big thing, is he basically has a ranged Janna ultimate in a lot of ways. So it will isolate multiple little skirmishes that are much better to deal with than a true 5-on-5 where you're against an Azir. You have an 800 range of damage when you're talking about the Sand Soldiers being placed in attack range to respect. But that leaves Maokai to go over, and Azir Maokai is a very potent duo. And while it's not the same early ganking pressure, Sejuani is still one of those top-tier jungle picks.
It's teamfight city here for King right now. Maokai and Sejuani, their next 2 picks. So not going to be the Name show this time around. Kong have a much more carry-oriented mid laner.
I think you need the Janna, or at least another teamfight reset. The more teamfight resets that Master3 can get done, the better. Dade's flashing the Cassiopeia. This is the needed champion. I mentioned it yesterday, but Pawn being able to play both the Azir and Cassiopeia as part of this matchup against SKT was the big surprise, in that he could play the top meta mid laners that he hadn't necessarily shown during the LPL. We have seen no sign of the Cassiopeia from Dade. This is what you want to play against Azir. Does he actually feel confident enough to play it?
Well, Rumble's in there. Cassiopeia is going to join in shortly. So M3, high damage, high execution is their team comp so far.
And now we get to answer another question. Is Cassiopeia a Dade champion?
Well, we don't know. We didn't know Vladimir was one until he pulled it out in the last 2 games, actually. 2 game ones, I should say. Curious stuff coming through. I like the Cassio coming. Obviously, I like Cassio in the matchup. Curious to see how Dade can play it. It seems like something that he'd be capable of playing, but I guess this game will tell. He's already surprised us in the LPL so far in summer with the Vladimir coming out.
It's a bit of a curious Rumble pick. There's a bit of negative synergy going on between Gragas and Rumble. Of course, you can hold on to those old ones. You don't have to layer them down. Name's already flashed the Twitch a couple of times. He's moved on to the Ezreal. Urgot's available in, what, the 5th round of picks. A lot of power being locked in. Notice they have not committed to an AD carry. It has to be Sivir in this particular case. Sivir Alistar, that's often been the answer to the Urgot. Still, Master3 giving up Urgot and getting Sivir out of the equation, it's not bad.
Yeah, looking down the King lineup, you have to think that Korn's got a lot of heavy lifting to do. It's not going to be a Name carry this game. Urgot does decent damage, especially with the new Black Cleaver on this patch. Adding to that as Sivir is the lock in there, the obvious choice from SMLZ, like you said, but Korn's got a lot of work to do on this Azir.
He definitely does. It's a short-ranged comp coming through from King. Their turret taking is abysmal. Korn will do just fine on the Azir, but normally wants to be hanging behind or creating up a zone rather than necessarily doing turret damage. Urgot at 425 range can't do much himself. Sivir and Alistar is a very good combination. We've actually seen this develop quite a lot, is that you leave your AD carry pick to last with the whole champion pool available other than Kalista. And if the enemy takes Urgot, no problem, you can take the Sivir.
Yeah, I mean, Sivir is something that you want to slot into a lot of comps that don't always like the landing matchup, I guess, as we're going to go straight through the matchup. Sejuani Gragas back into what might be our feature matchup here. Both very important players, important damage sources for this comps as well. Korn's Azir versus Dade's new Cassiopeia.
That's the thing, that's the big question mark. What does Dade's Cassiopeia look like? We've seen him debut new champions like Nidalee and LeBlanc in previous metas and fall flat on his face, so can he pick it up and make it work? And the other question is, can Huey do his role? Because he did his role of ganking really strongly and winning some tough lanes last game. Sejuani versus Gragas is literally the opposite. Sejuani's going to try and initiate fights, and if the disengage is completely on from Huey, he'll be able to carry this M3 lineup through what could be a rough late game team fight.
Yeah, Connie going to have the pressure again though, so I have to think with the Gragas he might be able to be just as aggressive and creative as the last game.
Sure, I'm just talking more about the late game team, but in the early game, it's all on Connie trying to be aggressive and assertive, and whether Sejuani is maybe babied in a 2v1 to get through those awkward early levels.
Well, let's find out about Dade's Cassiopeia. It's time for game number 2. And we are on to the rift for our second game between M3 and King. M3 currently up a game after a 55-minute slugfest where M3 almost found themselves defeated despite being 10,000 gold ahead. But King picking strong lanes once again. Lots more team fight this time around though. And Name, he's on the sidelines for carry potential here. It's all about Korn and his Azir.
Name spotted out SMLZ, gets the pokes, the first Asset Hunter hits. Okay, we'll put that in the record books. One Asset Hunter, 100% hit record so far, not even with a lock-on opportunity. 5-man invade coming through from King, but as in the previous game, matching invade on the other side.
Yeah, it's fairly shallow vision by King there as well, just getting information on the jungle camps potentially, so they can pick a route there. I have to think that like a lot of players, they want to swap the Urgot out of the lane. We've seen Def do this time and time again from EDG, but Name seemed to fancy himself being aggressive in the last matchup, might just want standard lanes again.
When we saw Name on Urgot, I believe the last time was during the promotion tournament, he was completely smashing an enemy bot lane, but it's so much more difficult against this Sivir-Alistar combo. First, of course, Sivir will probably skill the spell shield, maybe level 3. Sometimes in this matchup, she feels really threatened level 2. Once you skill that ability, you can happily spell shield the corrosive charge as it comes in. And then if through some contrivance it comes through, Alistar can just headbutt the Urgot out of lock-on range. So you have a lot of laning options. Alistar, of course, will have the sustain. But the other question mark we have, Dade against this Azir. On this Cassiopeia for the first time we've seen in definitely a long while. That's actually 100% onto his passive. He's getting a lot of stacks.
That's some sick Noxious Blast stacks they're coming through.
Not corrosive charge.
It is not corrosive charge, no. There's lots of Noxious and
the Noxians are in full force. There's no Swain, though.
No. Sadly, no Swain. I don't know if Dade's ever played Swain. It feels like a Dade champion.
One day.
One day Dade will play Swain. It's down the bottom. I don't think either bottom lane started. Never mind. Name hits a quick level 2, so going to try and get that advantage. And our last question, of course, is the top side. Only just noticed it, but Looper back on his rumble. Always nice to see. Sync Dream Flash binding. Name going in. Spell Shield level 1, though, from SMLZ. Keeps himself safe.
Yeah, maybe he just hadn't skilled an ability, but Love City did the hard work with the Pulverize. A lot of aggression coming through from Sync Dream. Had to be mostly an onlooker last game, of course, dying awkwardly at level 1. This time gets to level 2 and just as assertive as his opposite number.
And M3 not going to bait it again there, and the spell shield comes through. Name, very frustrating to play against a level 1 spell shield Sivir, but a stroke of genius by SMLZ.
They're making this Urgot 2v2 lane work. They have not looked for the swap. They did not look for the swap in the promotion tournament, as I mentioned. And so far, I mean, Alistair just desperately wants to hit level 2, not for the headbutt, but just for some sustain.
Yeah, I mean, Name does seem to like to 2v2 people, something that he wasn't known for back in the day.
Level 3.
Yeah, he's a beast right now in the Urgot, just powering through. Again, bullying them away. Love City, the good headbutt. Name does use a heal, forced to flush. He takes a tower hit. Condi's in here as well. Name surely going down here, and SMLZ will know he's not dead. Name gets first blood somehow. Gonna try and keep himself alive. Will finally fall, but somehow gets first blood.
Condi and Love City both wanted to give the kill over, but he hit 2 Acid Hunters, picked up the kill. Happily, I guess, from a Master 3 perspective, the minions finally finished him off, and he got the kill credit anyway, did SMLZ. But that was a bit yakety sax right there.
After all that aggression, that's probably the best possible result in that situation for King's bottom lane. So aggression once more for the King duo, and M3 really did a good job shielding the first all-in, but they were apparently not ready for the next one.
It was actually just a really smart gank also coming through from Condi.
It was.
No credit taken away from him. The pathing was wonderful to get there unspotted by the Urgot Morgana lane, but the result, again, is only a trade with more members being committed to the area. Sejuani picked up a couple of camps and a Scuttle Crab during that whole engage as she finishes off the Scuttle Crab in top. So Sejuani getting an uninterrupted jungle and Gragas only splitting a lane. It's a good trade for King.
Yeah, Condi might be going towards the top side of the map as well. Cola actually doing just fine here in the Rumble matchup. Classically a counter matchup here for the Rumble into the Maokai, but does need a couple more levels in the Flame Spitter.
It's also mostly a counter matchup in the early levels before items are completed. Once the Spectre's Cow comes through, not a lot of kill pressure. SMLZ actually spell shields just a normal Acid Hunter, so does eat the lock on, but just is able to walk away. Name was very impressive on Urgot in that promotion, Tony. We haven't seen it since. So far, he's making me a believer.
And look how aggressively forward King's duo lane is. It's Sync Dream's aggression here as well that's paying off, and I can sort of see why Name might fancy his new support. He's Zero, fantastic player, don't get me wrong, but Sync Dream, his all-out aggression as Cola eats so much damage in that trade.
And that's kind of what I was expecting. From once you get 3 points into the Flame Spitter, you can do some disgusting trades as the Rumble against the Maokai before Spectre's Cow becomes a relevant thing. Name's strategy here is he's understood, okay, I'm not Jinx this time. I'm not the sole carrier of the team. I'm just going to push in and monopolize the enemy jungler's time because Gragas is going to be priced in to try and punish Name for being so overextended. And I'm going to look to my teammates. Maokai was able to push up Rumble. Azir was pushing in Cassio. You can only respond to one lane at a time if you're Condi, even as this super maneuverable, high-ganking jungler. And either you can go for the counter-gank, as Huey's setting up for, or you can just try and cause a lot of pain in other lanes.
Good binding there as well. Huey just short there, but does get the permafrost. Name gets knocked up by a wonderful combo that kills Love CD. Alistar will get the trade, and now Condi's back down as well. Huey, is right, Papa Smithy. Great flash forward there by SMLZ. Huey, though, gets himself just out of range, and a wonderful escape leads to another trade.
And Condi could not find an angle for the flash body slam Dade, though.
Oh, coming in, needs to find
It's
Huey.
a kill.
Just use, he didn't even need the ulti. Just finds the targeted ability, mashes the E button, and that is a kill for Dade.
All right, Dade can mouse over enemies with Smart Cast. So far, we have established that about his Cassiopeia.
Nice roam, honestly, about Cassio. Usually, as they're pretty good at pressuring, you can see the waves are crashing in. Korn is optimistically looking for a roam, but immediately runs back to mid.
I mean, you need to have either pressure on the mid lane minion wave, or you're at worst going to give up a drag in that particular situation. Somehow doesn't give up anything, but that was a curious roam from Azir.
Yeah, I think maybe felt pressured to match Dade's roam as we're going to return. SMLZ, that is not a good spot. Great binding there after the spell shield gets baited out, and Name this time gets a kill without dying. Oh, Sync Dream, though, maybe not so lucky. Damage coming through. Condi doing a decent amount. Love City punts him away with the headbutt, but Sync Dream stays just healthy enough.
I don't know what SMLZ was thinking, to be honest, Space Jam. He didn't need to be there. Why was he still in the lane? He'd done the most about of pushing it, saw a couple of members, just disregarded them completely, and now another kill. What a bloodthirsty bottom lane. Name's already been involved in 5 out of the 6 kills this game.
And you can see, look at the item difference already between the ADs. Double Dorans for SMLZ, a fairly emergency-looking build, now with a pickaxe, and even a longsword there, just trying to get the maximum AD. Name, the longsword tier and the pickaxe building swiftly towards the Manamune. Very healthy, very happy Urgot right now.
Both these AD carries hitting the thrift shop, but the thrift shop's got Name's name all over it. One of the kings of thrift shopping from these AD carries, just buying as many stats as possible. Dade hits a pretty early first evolution of his passive, and now he's got the sustain.
Yep, looking good now. Blue buff as well, going to keep his mana nice and healthy, and an early tier there for Dado. We've seen a number of builds as Name does swap in. SMLG,
Wow.
great spell shield of that ulti, but still taking damage. Name got the lock on as a result, going to keep chasing in. That forces the heal, but Name now a little too low. Heals a little late, but now Dade coming through. Flash ulti looks for it, doesn't quite get it. Name's forced to flash away. The ease there for Casio, but Poison runs out. Love City misses his combo. Cola's down as well, forced to flash away. And let the Yakety Sax music play again. Name eats a boomerang blade and goes down, but now Korn here as well onto SMLZ. Cola initiates, kill comes through. Dade just picks it up though, and SMLZ gets away with that.
SMLZ went full man mode with heal available with the ultimate.
Huey does go down as well. Amazing ulti from Looper gives M3 3 clean kills.
This time I will give SMLZ credit. He used his heal right at the last second, baited the first kill. Wonderful equalizer. Shades of the old equalizer having higher base damage as it burns down for 300 damage or so onto Huey. And suddenly 6-3, 9 kills in 9 minutes. This is the excitement we were looking for.
And points to Dade there as well. That's another roam where he's beaten Korn to this lane. And you can tell why with the blue buff starting to push more aggressively. But he's been there twice in the bottom side with just elegant timing.
And it's exciting to see him fitting into the meta, playing the champions that he needs to, and not just relying on his outdated champion pool. When he was the god of Yasuo and Zed, he made those champions work even as they fell in and out of the meta. But in this situation, moving with the meta, same old Dade, and the results have looked good.
They have looked good, and make no mistake, Dade can still play those champions. So if they ever come back or is feeling fancy, I'm sure we'll see them again as Cola going to face check Looper. That's not what he wants, though. Good Arcane Smash will shake off some of the damage, but Cola 40% health after an overheated flame spitter.
And elected to go for the team build with the Catalyst into Righteous Glory rather than going for the more selfish item-centric build and going for the Spectre's Cow. I feel like that's going to extend the period that Looper can really punish him. Because you're not going for Word of Ages, your Catalyst timing doesn't really matter as much. And are you really looking to opt into Dragon Fights against a Rumble? That's the question I guess King will force to answer. With that Catalyst pickup, the answer is, I guess, yes.
I guess so, as Korn looking to clear out some waves with Huey in reserve. Wants to gain contra Dade, knows that there is no cleanse or heal. Great ulti back in. Ulti moves in, but Huey's right there with the ultimate coming through, and Dade, he's dead. Wonderful gank by Sejuani.
Yeah, very nice play from Korn as well to hit the flash into the Emperor's Divide. We saw Cool failing that multiple times a couple of days ago. This time nails it completely, gets the CC effect. Already knew that both summoner spells were down as you communicated. So nice clean kill from Korn, from King.
Korn also again showing promise on a champion that I don't think we've seen that much from him, Azir. So I guess our questions for both these very in-meta mid-laners was, they're open, they've picked them, can they play them? And I think for both sides, the answer right now is a resounding yes.
It seems like a pretty even battle in terms of the 1v1. Again, gank pressure has been the big story. It's been selfish gank pressure, just Dade being involved in multiple other waves and not really falling behind in CS. Only now, of course, with the minion waves being reset, does he fall into a 10 CS hold. But his roaming has been excellent, whereas it's been Huey in the mid lane to really equalize that pressure.
And SMLZ down in the bottom side got an early brutalizer for himself, but Name still perking out all the acid hunters. He's played a lot of Ezreal, so kind of feels the skill shots here, but SMLZ starting to take a bit more control of the lane, because again, Urgot wave clear, not his specialty.
How'd you see that as a mistake? Because of course, we talked about Yomu's Ghostblade a lot. It gives you a lot of power against low armor targets. If you're against a non-Urgot AD carry who doesn't find a way to itemize in armor, it's fine, but it's only about killing squishies rather than killing the tanks. Of course, after those 6 seconds, the stats it provides don't help in an extended fight. Every fight against Urgot's extended, but
yeah, Condi's here as well. Swap away, very creative for Name. Good Black Shield for Sync Dream, but might be too much damage. Ignite ticking away. Name will go down to SMLZ. Sync Dream maybe the next target as well, as that Boomerang Blade did a lot of damage.
And if you get enough of this snowball offer, it'll be a fine purchase. You just know in the late game, it's going to be a super high armor and health lineup from King, so it will not be as relevant as statistic. Maybe just going to hold on to the Brutalizer till late. The Yomu's not a big fan of, but hey, you get a kill out of it, you get the 300 gold. If you've got extra items, then it's just a bonus.
Yeah, going to look for the Dragon as well. The first one of this game is, in fact, as Huey might look for a steal, doesn't get it. Condi takes a binding, but does secure the Dragon. So M3 find themselves 1,000 gold ahead and now up a Dragon.
Hexdrinker second for Urgot is super peculiar. Maybe he's just expecting more of Dade and Lupa in his lane. Building for teamfight as an AD carry before building your core. a surprise, but look, it will help him in a team fight phase.
We'll have to see how it pays off, but no Dragon yet to fight around, of course, because it was just taken by M3 Dade. Little low on mana, going to clear out the rest of the wave and probably look to shop. And I spy a potential Rylai's coming through there before that Seraphs comes in.
Yeah, Assassin build onto Karthus in the first season for King was actually very common here. The tier into Rylai's gives you so much chase potential as this Cassiopeia. We saw it actually expertly used yesterday. Between the Rylai's and the Seraph's Embrace, you have 2,500 health very early into the game because, of course, you charge up that tier so fast with your cooldown refreshers on Twin Fang. It's a very early, high effective health build. You can flash ult and just know that you can do massive damage from your base values and be tanky enough to eat damage as well. You're going to take so much incidental damage between Urgot and Azir in these fights that just going for early defensive stats is fine.
In Love City, it's a binding trying to clear out a ward. Sync Dream actually buys enough time to protect that ward. Huey's here as well. Might fancy something, but it is an Alistar they're trying to gank. It's a bit dangerous. Great 3-man pulverize, but Teleport's going to come in now as well. Huey caught out of position, but finds his way back in. Name going to swap Condi back in. Lupa, great equalizer into 4-man Sejuani out, and Huey going to keep going in. Never mind, they're on the opposite team, and now M3 getting routed here, but Name little too low. They've taken the fight back over, and a very chaotic fight. Lots of big ultis blown, but a 4-for-1 win for M3.
That was a picture-perfect equalizer, blocking any retreat path through that triangle bush for King. Burned 3 members for 4 or 5 seconds of duration. Lupa, credit to him, teleported in first and nailed a very hard-to-hit equalizer. Won them that fight.
It did indeed, and spectacular Rumble play continues here from some of these Korean top laners. Akon, of course, known for that play. Lupa, not too shabby either.
And look, he builds for the equalizer with this Leandri's pickup with the bonus gold. Hell, if you're going to hit equalizers like that, not a big worry that it's only focused around your ultimate, because that was a thing of beauty.
It was indeed. And Huey's big ulti, not enough to save King from a massacre of a team fight there. And the Hex Drinker would have been great for Nami in that situation, but not enough from how sick that ulti was from Lupa. And you can see he's still ahead of this Maokai. Cola struggling to keep up in this situation, and King starting to fall further and further behind. 3,000 gold ahead now for M3.
But Cola did this to himself, going for the Catalyst, has the Merc Treads for a bit of relevant combat stats, but Lupa's built for lane and with winning game in this particular case. You have such a flexible item build as Rumble, has all the magic penetration in the world, and now, of course, the percentage health damage, and all Cola's really managed to put together in his build so far is that health.
And I think it's the mid laners that we might need to look to. They're big damage threats. Lupa, though, is getting there as well, but Rylai's is done now for Dade. Korn's had his Morellonomicon for a while, building in towards his second item, and the tiers stacking up. And, of course, Dade has a very nice Dade Merc Treads.
Yeah, Dade's got the Dade boots, got the Merc Treads, going to be useful against either the Twisted Advance or Sejuani. You have to think that was one burst damage. No, the equalizer was used, and Cola was almost dead.
Yeah, Cola, again, can't really stand in this lane anymore. Dade maybe starting to bully around Korn as well. He just has to wave clear as best he can. Cassio, so frustrating to lane against it. Even the lane that they were winning, a whole lot of jungle pressure later, and King's bottom lane struggling as well.
He's actually managed to get half the health off that mid lane turret, so when we finally do see some of the standing gold being picked up by Master3, they have the kills, but not the objectives, barring the first dragon. With the likes of Siva, the next pick should be a couple of global objectives and potentially a dragon coming down for King.
And that next dragon that you mentioned, that's the big pressure point we have to look to for this game. It's back up in about 2 minutes now. Some major items may be completed by that time as well. And King kind of need to find a place to fight. They're quite tanky. They're going to get tankier, but I don't know if that stands up to all the damage and team fight for M3.
Smart rotation from Korn. He might end up giving up a turret, but they have multiple members in the bottom lane. Azir responding in reaction to Condi is a lot more power. Actually, Cassio going to make the rotation as well. Could be fireworks in the bot.
Yeah, Huey's in the top side, but Lupa spots that out nicely, knows that he doesn't want to get involved in that situation. Back down the bottom, though, they have gone in this situation. Love City, it does need a binding. Condi there as well. Going to look in. Ulti Sync Dream back in. Dade, beautiful positioning there. Great ulti onto Name, gives SMLZ the double. The tower's going to fall as well, and Korn just has to run away.
And the Hex Drinker predicting Dade and Lupa in his lane doesn't do enough work in that case. Eats the first Twin Fang, but just uses the Petrifying Gaze quite happily. Dragon's up in a minute. The respawns will come through from King, but when it comes to control wards, M3 has a minute to put down lots of aggressive vision.
And another fantastic roam by Dade to the bottom lane, picking on Name, the star AD carry player of King. and for EDG formerly as well. And just look great on the Casio. It's not just the mechanics. He's laying just fine in this very skill-intensive matchup as well. But the pressure he's applied to other lanes has been phenomenal.
And even with the Catalyst, now it's going to be the home guard boost. I don't think that just pales in comparison to what builds so nicely for Lupa and what should decide this Dragon fight. How can you opt into the Leandri's Sorcerer's Shoes? He's obviously got more gold. Dade's dueling.
Yeah, Korn doing well. Sync Dream looking for a binding, but Dade, no ulti, does have his cleanse. Uses it after the ulti there to get himself away. Good miasma there for the slow. The Ignite's down as well, and finally Dade will die to Huey, but he put up one hell of a fight there.
He'll be really angry that his flash was 4 or 5 seconds off cooldown, would have survived in that situation. Cleanse is now down. A lot used to take down Dade, but at a crucial time, Dragon just spawns. I don't know if King feels strong enough to try and contest it, though.
We'll have to see. I mean, Dade is down, but only for about 15 more seconds. King are in the area if they want to try and fight here. I said they have to try and contest something in this game because they can't let M3 run away with it. They're already down quite a few thousand gold here, and giving up another Dragon would just feel like giving up a little too much.
Teleport just off cooldown for Cola. Has a bit of thrift shopping himself. Still, crucially, no Righteous Glory at 19 minutes. Nice rotation from King. Sieging will be hard in the late game, but when Dade's dead, they can easily just smash down this outer turret.
And not quite again, going for this Dragon, feeling just like they want to play back and farm. Cola certainly needs to find some more room. Lupa's opening up a massive CS lead now. Andy takes the top turret to make it 2-1 in that objective. SMLZ continuing to push down, and Name getting ulted on. Good flash out of the Pulverize from Love CD, but the aggression from the Sivir Alistar, you talked about it already, so much engaged power.
Absolutely. They've got the laning answer in Sivir. They basically said, okay, whatever you want to choose in terms of AD carry, we'll find a solution. Urgot's the worst case scenario, no problem. Sivir's available. Still with that massive win rate that we talked about. Started the day 12-2. Going to extend that further and further, you have to think. Easy second Dragon coming through from Master3. And Rumble goes back, picks up an this large rod. When that Zhonya's is completed, I don't care what you put together as the mid-game powerhouse Maokai. It will not compare to what Lupa can put together
and
himself.
That's the nice thing about Rumble. You're expected to get in the head of the matchup. You find yourself in a good spot, and all of a sudden, Maokai's sick mid-game engage power just pales in comparison to Rumble.
And a lot of Rumble's power, we talked about 2-item power spikes, 2-item cores, low ceilings. I think to some case that's true, but also you have to talk about the fact that the good thing about that is you're very relevant early, and if you get the extra gold, you can build 2-3 items into the build and still be a powerhouse of both damage and backline threat. In the worst case scenario, your Equalizer is always going to be an excellent spell. In the best case scenario, you get a Zhonya's can dive the backline, and you're both a team fight winner and a backline diver without having to even build tank statistics. That's what overheating with the Zhonya's opens you up to doing. And hell, he's only 12-25 gold away from being that backline threat.
I think Rumble in general is just a champion all about power spikes. As Dade is going to come in. Good ulti there, but it's not enough. Flashes the binding. The Korn still chasing in, kiting wonderfully as Dade keeps himself safe and somehow gets out of that.
Honestly, with the Q, you get a bit of movement speed. The Rylai's is slowing down. Lupa was reacting. He would have come and put down another strong Equalizer, so they have to give up the chase. Dade uses his flash. Cleanse will be available for the next fight.
And that's an important spell for Dade to have, but jumping back to Rumble, said power spikes, what it actually meant was timing windows. Even at a level-to-level basis, Rumble changes so much, and that's also true of his item builds.
Rumble versus Aurelia, there's a reason why it's one of those most romantic matchups. So about, okay, at 4, it's probably Rumble, 5, still Rumble, 7, Aurelia, 9, it's going to be Aurelia, 11 maybe goes back to Rumble. It's exciting to talk about the little changes between levels and just the importance of the quick level too. Rumble is definitely about timings. Item spikes is all about the low floor to being relevant. The ceiling is kind of questionable. Alistar's positioning aggressively, so they have to respect him. Level 11-11 Alistar can dive at any point, so King lose their turret.
Yeah, Seraph's done now for Dade as well, so power upon power, stacking across the board for M3. Even the Ghostblade there for SMLZ, you talked about it. Not the most glamorous looking choice later in the game, but right now at 22 minutes looks just fine.
Absolutely. I think maybe you go for the Phantom Dancer next, and this in the late game, sell it for a Last Whisper. It's an option to you, of course. Then you miss out on early lifesteal. So there's kind of a couple of ways to approach it. Maybe just Blade of the Ruined King. Sivir, as I've been seeing a little bit more plays, surprisingly. The health stacking is going to come through from Cola and Huey. It wouldn't be the worst idea to get a bit of self-peel to complement the magic damage or spell shield you already have. So a lot of flexible options. You still need attack speed somewhere in the build. You can't rely purely on the Yomu's Ghostblade. But for now, before the Frozen Heart is completed on the likes of Maokai and Urgot, it's a very strong amount of power initially.
It is, and it's actually Urgot that's going for the quicker Frozen Heart here. We've seen Black Cleaver on Urgot. Maybe it's a bit more of a luxury item. It does do strong damage, and that was something that Urgot was lacking a bit. But now he's going almost full Bruiser at this stage. He's got a pickaxe mixed in, Glacial Shroud in there as well, plus the early Hex Drinker. Even Merc Tread's there now as well to join in with his Mana Mune. Much more of the old school Bruiser Urgot, I feel like.
The pickaxe is the big question. Last Whisper is certainly not being required at this point. There's no armor whatsoever being picked up on M3's side. Sivir ultimate used.
That's aggressive there from SMLZ. I mean, they're looking for a pick, but that's probably a bridge too far with Black Shield and Arctic Assault up.
They're just waiting for specific cooldowns to be available. Now that it's a short cooldown, you have to remember for the On the Hunt. Maybe they just saw something, went for it, and then just quickly disengaged. Not going to be punished, you'd have to think, at any point. Baron's available, but not a realistic objective. Dragon's still multiple minutes away. Sivir backs, and that's a very defensive choice. The QSS.
I mean, she does need to stay alive. There's a lot of things to worry about. Urgot ultimate, Sejuani ultimate.
That's true.
The choice is, I guess, fine. But it's interesting. I mean, SMLZ is clearly putting faith in these two mages here because those are the real threats of this M3 comp.
I guess if you're going to buy that item, I like fighting instantly before the enemy can even recognize it, because then you play the mini game with a spell shield and you're surprised by the QSS. If you get time to think about it, look, she's going to be very defensive. She's going to do consistent damage, so it's not a terrible purchase by any means. And if that's the most power that SMLZ can buy with 1250 gold, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take away the red buff here as well. You can see them constantly moving together as the duo trying to find some picks. Name tries to steal away the red, but does not find it. Maybe gets a Krug instead. But we saw this, I think, midway through last season. Sivir Rengar was very popular for instant initiation. They would just blatantly use their ultimates on cooldown to try and get a pick. I think Sivir Alistar brings a lot of that flavor with a significantly less intensive resource investment.
They also managed to secure Sivir when they had Rumble. And one of the things that teams have been doing when Rumble was being picked in the IWSI, at MSI as well, if you pick Sivir against a Rumble, it's so much easier to disengage off the equalizer as it's just putting its first tick out. Sivir was open to Name. Name doesn't often adopt the Sivir as a choice, doesn't usually go for those teamfight builds. Speaking of teamfights.
Yeah, going in there, Kohler Black Shielded, though now ultimate's being popped for the Maokai as well. Fairly tanky at this stage here, but Dade now going to come back in. Zero ulti gets popped, and Kohler runs away from everybody else. A little too scary for King.
Love CD was holding on to that ultimate. He only wanted to pop it when he was going to re-engage. Was happy to get poked out because he knew if they could engage the right type of fight, they would have won a 5v5. Now that he doesn't have that option open to him, you kind of have to delay if you're Master 3 till your Alistar can look to get the ultimate up. You might think, why? He's just a support. If he dies, that's such a big deal. Alistar is only a threat if he can position aggressively. He cannot position aggressively as a melee champion without ultimate up. He'll just be CC'd and die.
Yeah, we saw it, I think, yesterday when Snake played. LeBlanc just 3-shot that support without an ultimate or 2-shot, I think. So have to be careful. You do take a lot of damage when you don't have your ulti ready.
You're just swishy. You're just a normal champion. You've built a bit of health. You're just a regular support. You have no other tankiness in your kit, barring that particular ultimate.
That was weird. Huey sort of get caught in the wall
No,
there.
Huey queued over to steal and then flashed out.
Realized that it was bad news. So did flash away, looks for the steal, but doesn't get it in M3. Now 3 Dragons up to 0. 3-1 in turrets as well, and that gold lead still ticking forward for them as well.
There's still hope in the late game. We've talked about the multiple man Sejuani ultimate. Sejuani was the ultimate equalizer yesterday. I say in a game with a Rumble, but
well done.
This is just the situations I get myself into. No cherry pie discussions today.
No, sadly.
I mean, Sejuani can get big. Sejuani does damage to the backline. Sejuani can CC up the Sivir and Cassiopeia. But between Cleanse and the QS, it's going to be difficult. Flash now down for the Sejuani. Can this Azir get to the point where you're at 5-item Azir and anybody trying to get on you will die and perish in that AoE? That's the big question.
I'm not too sure here, but Dade, I like the distortion upgrade early on for the boots. Knows that his flash is a very important piece of him doing enough damage here. But I look over to the other mid lane. We can see Korn, another Void Stuff second, so going for maximum damage. Now has a need to see Large Rod building up, and Name continuing to get tanky with the Negatron Cloak. He's got his Glacial Shroud, and that pickaxe was apparently for a more of Malmortius.
More of Malmortius Rush. I guess understanding that dueling Cassio seems to be the name of the game.
Sync Dream, goodbye. My friend gets CC'd there by Love CD, and an easy cleanup for Dade.
Rumble still on the split push. There's no defensive wards in the area around Baron. They do not have a particularly... Well, they have a Cassiopeia, so they have a very fast Baron. Huey's going to have to check. Has no flash. Has to be so defensive. Scrying Orb's down. Now what do Master3 want to do?
Yeah, Lupa's got his teleport as well, so can also join in at a moment's notice. Not quite level 16 for the Rumble, but will be there relatively soon. Condi, massive flash body slam there. Huey is going to get caught there, and the Sivir ulti just going to find a pick. Ultimate's good, but it's not enough to stay alive.
And now you have this great position where you have so much Baron damage with Cassiopeia, and if you walk in a line to contest it, this Rumble equalizer with Zhonya's will burn you down. So it's going to be a completely unanswered Baron, freely donated to Master3.
They had Dade's ult up as well, so too scary there to go in for King. They'll back off and give it away to M3, but that gives them almost 9,000 gold in the lead, and with a Baron buff plus a Sivir and this much strength, M3 are going to start knocking down some turrets.
And King just seem to need to get their Korean players into the lineup as soon as possible. They've looked threatening at points in games, but their game plans have been outdated. Dade's aggressive.
Flash ulti there forces a ton of flashes, but a bit aggressive, secures the turret nonetheless.
He picks up the objective, so I guess Worth, again, it seemed a bit questionable. The offensive uses of the Petrifying Gaze, especially when you're in Vision, are pretty limited, let's say. But with the Distortion Boots, maybe you'll get the full value of the 20% flash reduction.
That's what he really wanted. He's like, you know what, I got this boots, it's all going to be okay. Goes back, gets a Void Stuff, blasting one extra there as well. We saw the Zhonya's already there for Lupa, blasting one now in there as well, building for his Void Stuff. Last Whisper, actually the item there for SMLZ, so lots of flat Boomerang Blade damage. That Infinity Edge looking a little awkward in the inventory.
So the only way that King can win a fight, and it's strange to say that they could potentially win a fight giving the 9,000 gold behind, is actually to kite out the power windows coming through from Master3. If Youmu's Ghostblade, the Sivir ultimate, and Alistar's ultimate are baited out, you disengage, that's so much power that's lost from both Sivir and Alistar that they won't really be team fight ready. Sivir will only be useful for general auto attacks and just poke coming through from the Boomerang Blade. Alistar won't be able to be a CC threat in the front line. They do have windows of power now that they've committed to an armor penetration build with only 6 seconds of any semblance of attack speed coming through from Sivir. But even then, it's still going to be a very, very hard fight to win.
I mean, the amount of safety dancing that you have to do as Love CD comes in onto Name. Dade, massive damage. Hexdrinker pop, maybe enough. He uses the heal, does die to Dade's Twin Fang, and Cola trying to dive in, but SMLZ is just going to go back in on top of him. Almost goes down there as well, and that's another turret for M3.
And Cola still has a baby build. Righteous Glory into some tankiness, some magic resist. Cola has been the name, unfortunately, that's caused a bit of a shake of the head in both games today. Not a performance to remember for Cola.
No, and Name back in the lineup, looking solid. Certainly an upgrade, I think, from yesterday's carry Al, but not enough the team can do. King not quite there on the same page yet. We talked about it. Didn't get to play with their full roster for most of last season. Still don't hear starting it off.
If we learned anything from MSI, do not pick the Urgot when Sivir is up, because Sivir just does so many things so well against Urgot.
Inhibitor goes down there as well. King maybe one last fight. Ulti's good onto Dade. Never mind. Cleanse.
Yeah, they got one pick. Love City died in the front line. No ultimate, so died easily, of course. They're going to keep chasing, but the Baron buff minions will be enough of a deterrent to King.
Yep, they'll be the roadblock here as everyone returns down to clear out the mending waves. King looking for a couple kills. Maybe can push and try and get a tower down there on the bottom side. Dragon back up in a minute means that no real objective as Lupa trying to get sneaky here actually on the Rumble. That's maybe an overstay from M3. Righteous Glory gets popped. Huey trying to line something up at Lupa. Decent ulti. They're going to zone them away. Going to pop the zombies. They're a little late, but good timing there as Dade gets the kill onto Cola. Lupa very low, but does not fall as Dade. Massive ulti gives him the double there onto his ear. Now going to flash forward. Name wants it. Going to go in for the kill, but can't get it. A double kill for SMLZ. Sync Gym going to be the last man dead and complete the ace there for M3. A triple for Sivir, a double for Dade, and M3, they get the 2-0.
The super minions are coming through, and as you mentioned, 2-0 is all but assured now for Master3. Not a lot of 2-0s last season. Great to get one at the start of the season. 4 points out of 6 is a big success for the newly re-promoted team that only kept their status confirmed right at the end of the promotion tournament. They're actually backing away curiously. I guess death time is at 32 minutes. Not that long.
Yeah, a little too low. Dragon back as well. So going to go back. Not quite over yet, but this was a sick turnaround.
So the equalizer isn't the best. It's only burning down onto Huey, but it's the best in this scenario. Remember, he was forced to use it in an open area. There's no choke for him to fight in. Smart use of the Zhonya's at the end. One Sand Soldier ulti, and next one would have killed him, but still lives. Wait for the re-engage, because guess what? That short cooldown ultimate's available again from Sivir. Twin Fang is used even before the poison being applied, just because they needed it for the slow. And then by the end, Sync Dream just had to accept his fate.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't getting away from the ulti there, as you can see. Yeah, I agree. That was a sick ulti.
And it was a sick wow in slow-mo from the crowd.
That's great time. Just as good as that replay there. As SMLZ so strong right now. BF saw done as well. So going to move into maybe a Mercurial Scimitar, but 4th Dragon now up for M3. Looper hunting for people potentially with a bevy of AP in his build now as well. And King, same situation as last game, have to stick back to their turrets, but I don't see the miracle this time.
It isn't the same situation because last game, remember, we were talking about, okay, if they steal the Baron, they're in with a chance because they've also done this excellent thing of prepping your minion waves. The thing about Master3 is they're winning every team fight. They're rotating well, and hell, if something goes wrong, they've got the 4 dragons already, 4-0 dragons. They even have the backup win condition over the just, hey, we're set 14 kills up, winning fights handedly in the last few engages. Master3 have everything going for them, and it would take a cataclysmic collapse coming through from Master3 to lose to this low-poke, low-range team from King.
Yeah, another tower going to come down, and that's about 14,000 gold ahead. Love City dives in. Good ulti there from Korn and Huey. We're going to try and make something of the fight. Condi gets the first kill, though, onto Cola, and SMLZ is destroying everyone. Nami goes in for the swap, but doesn't complete it. Still alive, though, as Korn's going to be the next one caught out. They got the kill onto Dade, but they cost them 4 people.
Really nice triple kill from Siva, getting the last kill with the max range boomerang blade onto Nami. Was looking a better fight. They were eating a lot of AoE magic damage. Dade died first, but Korn dying sealed the fate of King. And 2-0, 3 welcome points for Master3.
And you know, that last fight shows you what happens when I think King, if they're even or ahead at that point of the game, actually looks like they got lots of good AoE down there, but they could never get ahead in this series, and M3, they found every way possible to get themselves in this game, played wonderfully to finish both of them, and a well-earned 2-0.
I think it's the reason why we might start seeing less of the Urgot, along with the even Alistair maybe in a couple of weeks, but returning to the Urgot, even or ahead, Urgot's pretty strong. Behind or struggling to get even, he doesn't really contribute much. He doesn't really get you back into the game unless he has an item advantage, unless multiple lanes are winning, and he doesn't give you any siege options whatsoever. So in a game like this, when Sivir is available in general, Urgot is exploited as being very one-dimensional about just really dueling with the enemy AD carry and lane. And Master3 take about 3 points. Very welcome for this all.
They are indeed, and 2 Sivir games, 2 victories there. That's probably not a coincidence. And
14-2.
Papa Smithy, how many games do we need for Sivir to start seeing a couple bans?
That's what I was saying. 14-2 is the Sivir record so far in the LPL. I guess the biggest question mark about that is how did Sivir get through the picks and bans?